What's going on, hustlers? Back at you guys with another video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're gonna get right into the video. Today we're gonna be discussing 5 tips to submit a winning bid. These are gonna be 5 things that you can do to optimize your submissions when you're dealing with DLA and you're entering in all that data on dibs. We're not doing proposal writing over here. We just do data entry. That's how we make our dollars. And these are going to be some things that maybe you already knew, but we're going to optimize for a little bit. But before we get into that, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the videos if you think that these are helping you out, or if you feel that they're answering any questions that you have. You're getting any value out of this, please remember to like, comment, subscribe. It greatly helps the channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Number 1, we want to be bidding everything with a minimum of 120-day lead time, all right? And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but let me explain. If something is in stock, I don't care if it's at freaking Home Depot and you can go and pick it up. It's in your back. I don't care if it's sitting in your backyard. I don't care if freaking daughter can go see it and pick it up and play in the mud with it in your backyard. I don't care. We're bidding everything with a minimum of 120-day lead time, even if it's stock. 120 days divided by 30, that's 4 months. That gives you 4 months to protect yourself in the event that something bad happens. I see it happen all the time with companies. They decide to submit a bid on something, they win the contract, and then they go to purchase the material, and then the company's like, oh, actually, we didn't update our website, and we actually only have 27 in stock out of 30, and it's gonna take us 2 months to get you the remaining 3 units. Or you have some kind of issue with the products and then you gotta send them back and you gotta submit like a return material authorization form or something like that. That 120 days is going to protect you, all right? In aviation, we always say it's better to have something and not need it than to need something and not have it. Now, what happens if the lead time that you get from your manufacturer is over 120 days, right? Don't worry about that. That's why you're watching this video, because I'm giving you the sauce. So if it's over 120 days, we want to add 100 days to whatever we were quoted by our vendor, okay? And know that vendors will always be padding their lead times anyways, right? So if somebody quotes you something 90 days, maybe realistically it's going to take 60 to 75 days, but they're giving themselves some extra padding as well. So we want to do that with ourselves, and we want to tell the government, hey, it's going to get here in 100 days plus whatever the vendor got here, and we want to under promise, over deliver, not the other way around, right? So you are well within your rights. It is entirely your prerogative to receive the material and ship it to DLA earlier than anticipated, but adding that 100 days on top of whatever you were given by the manufacturer is going to ensure that you're able to logistically meet the timeline that not only did you set for yourself, but you entered a contractually binding agreement with the US government for as well, all right? Number 2, we are going to be talking about offering price breaks. So anybody who's ever purchased anything before understands that the more you buy of something, the cheaper it should get. So in the event that you see 2 solicitations, right? You see 2 solicitations for, let's just say, for instance, I have some electrolytes right here. 2 solicitations for electrolytes. And by the way, the government does buy this stuff. And one solicitation is for 10 units, the other solicitation is for 40 units. So ethically, the right thing to do is get 2 individual quotes. One for 30 batches of electrolytes and then one for 10 batches of electrolytes, because the price could vary between a purchase or transaction of 10 units and 30 units. That makes complete sense. However, one thing that I learned from the TKO Training Knowledge and Opportunities Seminar that DLA Land and Maritime had in Columbus, Ohio of this year, they love price breaks because for them it's less paperwork, there's less transactions that they have to list, and it also just allows them to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So how does submitting a price break relate to 2 solicitations being open? You can actually submit on dibs in the price break section the price for 1 to 30 units and then the price from 31 to 40 units. And all we did there is we just combined the 10 unit solicitation with the 30 unit solicitation. And DLA is aware that when we do that, we are combining two different contract opportunities. Now, what you don't want to do is get a price for just 40 batches of electrolytes, and then you submit that price for 40 on the 10 unit solicitation and the 30 unit solicitation, because then you might end up winning only the 10 unit one, and then your cost that you thought you were going to get to purchase the electrolytes at is going to be significantly more expensive just because the PPU, or price per unit, is now higher. So a way to combat that is to just consolidate the units of both solicitations and then offer it in the price break section in the electronic quote submission form on Dibs. Number 3, and this is a big one. This is an administrative one that I'm a big fan of doing. We want to generate our own internal quote numbers. What do I mean by generating our own internal quote numbers? When we submit a bid for a contract on Dibs, we have the opportunity in the top right to input a quote number, okay? This quote number is something that us as firms come up with internally. What is the benefit to creating our own internal number? It makes it very easy when you get a reval, or a request for evaluation, essentially a request for traceability, or whenever the government's asking for more information about the product that you're bidding on or about the transaction itself. It makes it very easy for the government to reach out to you and then reference that quote number. And then it makes it really easy for your own internal records, especially once you start to scale and you have your own team, for team members from different departments to be able to come in and then look up whatever the quote number is in your internal system, whether it be Zoho, Salesforce, OneDrive, Google Drive, AppSite, Lucy, whatever the case may be. This allows for different people within your organization to plug and play. So somebody from your administrative side of the house can go in, look in your internal system, whichever one you're using, and then just look up that quote number, find all the documents that you've attached to that quote in your system, and then just reply to the email without you even being there. So there's plenty of instances, especially as a business owner, where maybe you're at a conference doing business development and then you get an email and you don't have time to sit down on your laptop and then look for the paperwork, but then you have your own internal quote number and you could send it to somebody who doesn't even work for you. I've had instances where I've sent an email asking for something on the other side of the house. Two Lines Aerospace, we sell commercial aviation parts as well. And I've been able to reach out to somebody on the commercial house of our business and be like, hey, listen, this is the quote number that they're asking for. Can you just pull this up, download the PDFs that I have attached, and then send this to the contracting officer? So for administrative reasons, it makes it really easy. And then for the government to reference stuff, it makes it really easy as well, because sometimes solicitations could repeat. Purchase request numbers will never repeat, but sometimes solicitation numbers could repeat. And maybe you told the government that, hey, I'm gonna offer half of the items for this solicitation, from this company at this price point, and then the other half are gonna be at another price point, i.e. a price break, like we just discussed. And then they only wanna inquire about one aspect of it, right? So then they're gonna be able to pull up the quote number. So it's a very nuanced thing, but when it happens, you're gonna be glad that you have it. Number 4, the fourth tip on submitting a winning bid with DLA, putting the correct status of the cage code, okay? So you guys are gonna see this come up when you are submitting your bid, but then after you've input your information about the product. So after you've put in the cage code and the part number, it's gonna say select the status of quote for cage. And it is talking about the status of the quote for your cage code as the firm. It's not talking about the status of the cage code of your vendor, whether that be a distributor or manufacturer. It's talking about you, okay? And what we wanna be inputting there is the cage code of, it's gonna say actual cage, because we're gonna put dealer. We wanna put dealer or authorized reseller. We are never gonna be a manufacturer unless you are a manufacturer. But if you are, it's probably highly unlikely that you're watching this. But if you are, you still would wanna put manufacturer, and then it's gonna say actual cage code, and then you put your cage code if you were manufacturing it. But for everybody else, for the 99% of the population of government contractors that I deal with and people that do business with the Defense Logistics Agency, you are going to put dealer, and then it's gonna say actual cage code, and then you are going to put the cage code of your manufacturer, okay? A lot of times people say, they put dealer and then they'll put their own cage code. And the issue with this is when a request for evaluation comes around, the government is going to reach out to you and say, okay, can you please give us paperwork illustrating your past performance and or your manufacturing capabilities? And then you're gonna have to tell the contracting officer, you're gonna be like, my bad, homie, I completely screwed this up. And then you could potentially miss out on a couple $1,000s or even a couple $100,000. So when it says put the correct status of the cage code after you input the information about the product, you want to put that you are a dealer, and then if you get the privilege of becoming an authorized reseller for somebody, you can do that. You can say authorized reseller, but you still are going to want to put the cage code of your manufacturer, vendor, distributor, whoever the approved source is or whoever you're getting the item from that manufactured it. And this is going to make sure that you're being very clear and concise when you're submitting your bid and the contracting officer or the engineering support activity or the product specialist is reviewing your bid. Number 5, the 5th tip on submitting a winning bid is going to be, and before we get into this, I just want to say, check out our Skool community. It's $19 a month, cheaper than a Netflix subscription. All the content that I've ever created, it's in one place. You guys will get access to not just me, but everybody that you've ever seen come on the channel and talk about their experience as a government contractor. So you get access to very successful and experienced government contractors. And then we have our weekly coaching calls every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. So go check that out. The link is down below in the bio. And then if you feel like you need a little extra push or you feel like you want the team to come help you out, you always have the opportunity to book a call with me and the team and we'll get you sorted. Let's get back to the video. Number 5 is going to be pricing in your packaging. And I know it sounds redundant. I know it sounds like, of course, why wouldn't I price in my packaging? You would be surprised at how many times I see it happen where companies do it and then they're so deep in the red because maybe it's commercial packaging and you get to send it in the same box that it came in. But then you might have to pay for the packaging from the vendor coming to you. Or you might have to pay for the shipping cost. Maybe it's FOB destination and you have to pay for the shipping cost. So we want to be factoring that into the price that we are going to be submitting on DIBS because that stuff can eat into your margins so quickly. And there's just zero reason at all to ever make the mistake of doing that when you can just tell DLA up front, this is what the price per unit PPU is going to be, including my packaging. So our 5 tips on submitting a winning bid are: we want to bid everything with a minimum of a 120-day lead time or add 100 days to whatever your vendor gives you. Number 2, we want to offer price breaks. So we want to be consolidating multiple solicitations into a price break if applicable, or we could just get our quote from our vendor and say, hey, is it cheaper if I buy any more of these? Get that quote with that increased quantity and then submit that price break. And number 3, generate our internal quote number. That's gonna make it really easy for administrative reasons and for the government to contact you. Number 4, we wanna put the correct status of the cage code. We wanna make sure that we're putting a dealer or authorized reseller, and then we wanna put the actual manufacturer's cage code. And then number 5, we wanna make sure we're pricing in our packaging. Those are my 5 tips on how to submit a winning bid. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you found this video insightful, valuable, or informative, please like, comment, subscribe. I will tap in with you guys next time. Not only am I looking forward to your success, I'm sure of it. Let's go print those dollars, hustlers.